We have a quorum this evening. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move on to presentations and awards this evening. Our first visitor this evening are the Daughters of the American Revolution, and their regent, Marcia Beck, will address the group at this time. And I guess you have other attendees. Oh, sure. Wow, so now I know why my wife was here. Well, thank you so much. This is very kind of you, and I very much appreciate it. It's really an honor. Thank you so much. Wow, that was a pleasant surprise. Next up is Christina Greeno and Donovan Bach from the Raymore Behavioral Health Crisis Center to kind of give us an update on a one-year anniversary of the opening of the center and let us know what good things you guys are up to these days.
Good evening. My name is Donovan Bach, and I am the Director of Community Relations for Compass Health Network. Thank you. Compass Health Network provides healthcare services in 47 counties within the state of Missouri. We are a federally qualified health center and a certified community behavioral health care organization, which basically gives us the opportunity to provide affordable, accessible, quality health care for, by definition, underserved and or rural communities. Here in the city of Raymore, we have two locations, one on Sunset, where we provide our outpatient therapy and our outpatient substance use disorder services. We provide community support services, dental services, and we just started providing primary care, family medicine for individuals 18 years or older that are current clients. Our second location is over in the Remington Plaza area. We have two programs over there, one being the Wellbeing Center and the other being the Behavioral Health Crisis Center. I had a meeting with Mayor Turnbow when the Behavioral Health Crisis Center opened. It had actually only been in operation for about 3 to 4 months. Mm-hmm. And during that meeting, we discussed the fact that it might be a good idea that after 1 year, we come in and kind of discuss maybe, some of the objectives and some of the outcomes, and just to kind of see where we're at. So October 17th marked our 1 year anniversary, so this seemed like a good opportunity. So what I Christina Garino. I'm going to have her come up, and she is our director of the Raymore Behavioral Health Crisis Center, and I'll let her talk with you all about that. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us tonight. I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about the Crisis Stabilization Center. I'm Christina Garino, and we are 24/7, 365, no wrong door. Anybody that's experiencing behavioral health crisis, substance use crisis, can come to our center, and we will meet them where they're at, get them the right services. Our goal is to divert individuals from jail, from the hospital. Since we've opened, we've served 2,400 people. That's the latest number from last week. This past week, with the holiday, we've increased that number. I haven't got that those stats yet, but we were super busy last week. I'm going to leave some brochures and my card for questions, because I know we only have 5 minutes to present, but again, individuals that are experiencing any kind of crisis situation. So it can be mental health, substance use, domestic violence, psychosis. What our goal is to get them stabilized within 24 hours. We can keep them longer than that if need be, but we're going to get them to a safer place, whether that be a shelter, maybe inpatient, or at least outpatient services to where they're getting some help for whatever they're experiencing. And so we have 4: Rolla, Wentzville, Jeff City, and Raymore. So as you can, if you imagine the state, we have a lot that come to Raymore, from Warrensburg, Sedalia, and then the surrounding area. So reach out to me if you guys have any questions. Again, we're here right across the street, and I'd love to work with you guys, answer any questions or concerns that you might have, and we're open.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? I'd like to, at this time. Ms. Abdelwood.
Just a quick comment. I serve on a community advisory board for Compass Health, and so I get to hear a regional update every month from the vice president of Compass Health, and it's really interesting to hear about all of the things that Compass Health is doing across the state, and especially here in our region. It's pretty new what they're doing here. They partner with the school districts as well. Compass Health has therapists in Belton School District and Ray-Pec School District, and so their reach is really broad, and we're really lucky to have Compass here in Raymore.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Well, thank you for the presentation this evening. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. And
We
like I
appreciate
said,
you being in our community, too.
Thank you. I'm going to leave brochures and my card back there, so if
Okay.
you guys want them, go ahead and pick them up, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. We'll now move on to staff reports. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would note that Councilmember Engert is now present at the meeting, so
Okay.
the council will be on roll call for the rest of the evening. Councilmember Engert, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Just barely, but if you shout, you'll come through, I think.
Okay, I'll do my best to shout.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. First up for staff reports this evening, sir, I would ask Mr. Kraft to make a staff report for Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In addition to the written report, we had a little wintry weather this weekend. It was a good event. As you saw during our recent presentation, where we had to kind of move some drivers around and get them into some trucks this year that they hadn't previously driven. So it was a good event for them to get kind of a shakedown event, get used to their routes. We were also able to deploy the new snow map onto the city website, and there's a lot of functionality with that we're on the backside that we're still getting used to, but it was, again, a good event for a kind of shakedown for all of that, and that concludes my staff report.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mr. Krass? Mr. Engert, anything?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fearborn, anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. I would ask Mr. Musteen to make a report for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, members of the council, I've also submitted a written report, but tonight I want to focus on an upcoming event this Friday night, our annual Mayor's tree lighting event and our Christmas tree trail. So this Friday night, 6 o'clock at TB Hanna Station. And We'll have Visit with Santa, cookies, hot chocolate like we normally do. This year, we're going to add also a movie in the park, and so we'll be running Frosty the Snowman on loop as the kids are standing in line to greet Santa, so to kind of keep that going along should be great. Something else we're doing new this year is we're doing a snowball toss. So it's a cash-only fundraiser for Shop with the Cop. So it's $5 and you get 5, I think, Bozo the Clown and the ping pong buckets. Only we're going to extend it across the ice rink, and they get 5 shots, and the harder it is, the better the prize, and all proceeds will be given to Chief Wilson here, who will also be flipping the switch for a tree. He'll be helping you out. So.
All right.
Friday night also kicks off our Mayor's Coat Drive, which will be going through the full month of December. So we'll go all the way through Christmas to the last day of December. Gently used or brand new coats, and in addition, mittens, gloves, scarves, anything type outdoor winter wear. But that is all this Friday night. The initial forecast has changed, so we are anticipating having ice and ready to go, where originally we weren't quite sure, but I think we're going to make it this week. So look forward to having everybody out. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Mustine? Yes, Mr. Dogan.
Just a quick question. You may have said it, but I missed it. What time?
6 o'clock is the start of the events, and then we'll have a program with the donation of different charities and stuff like we normally do, and so we'll have a program, but officially we start at 6. And I will say, I'm glad you asked that, our fundraiser, the snowball toss, we'll start that a little early, about 5:30. For those folks who come early, we'll get that started then.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Forster.
Thank you. The snowball toss, is that for kids, adults, anybody?
If you got $5, you got 5 shots.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Nathan. You saved me. I wasn't going to be quite that thorough, but I was going to bring that up in my end of meeting report, but good job covering everything. Appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Mr. Mustine. I would ask Ms. Harmer to make a report for the Communications Department.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. First, I would like to direct you to the walls. We have new art for the first time in quite a while. This art is from Holly Thomas from Peculiar. Everything is for sale, and her information is on there if you are looking for any unique holiday gifts. Upcoming, the Raymore Arts Commission is wrapping up last event of the year, which is the Holiday Sing-Along this Monday at 3:30 p.m. at St. Paul's United Methodist Church. That's a great partnership that we have with the church to sing traditional Christmas carols in a large group, and it's always a really fun time, and there are cookies at the end. And then I would also like to introduce Miss Alex Garcia. She is the new part-time marketing and communications assistant for my department. So I'm very happy that she's here. She's assisting with social media, artwork for the upcoming Parks Program Guide that will come out in January. We're kind of going through the ins and outs of everything in the communications department, so I hope that I'm not overwhelming her. This is the start of her 3rd week. I would also like to note that on day 4, I have a quote from her. She said, "I already really like it here." So that's great news. So I'm very happy to have her. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Ms. Garcia, welcome. Anybody else have anything? Any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Fearborn, anyone else?
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a report on the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and council, just wanted to provide, at this point, what I'm going to call it is a year-end update for our comp plan as we move into January and February, which will be the next step in our review of the comprehensive plan. This week, staff is wrapping up our last revisions to several of the maps, transportation map, land use map, future land use map that we've updated with the consultant as part of this project. On December 14th, we're scheduled to take delivery of our last delivery until we present the plan to the council for consideration for adoption. What that will look like is we're trying to get this plan to its most final form. Right now it's been a bunch of Word documents back and forth that are kind of hard to digest, and so this last deliverable that we're excited to present to the different boards and commissions will be late January or early February is what we're targeting right now, and whether that's in the form of a work session with the council or a joint work session with City Council and Planning and Zoning. Still some details to flesh out on that, but we are looking forward to ending the draft portion of our plan, which staff has been hard at work at over the last several months, and moving into what we hope to be the adoption phase of that plan. So looking forward to presenting some new ideas to the council, boards and commissions for their consideration and feedback, so that we can then turn those back around and have one last round of revisions with Olson before we bring this forward for its formal consideration. So like I said, right now I'm trying to target end of January, beginning of February in a work session format. More to come on that, obviously, as we get closer into those months and out of the holidays. But happy to answer any specific questions if the council has any. Otherwise, that's my update for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gress. Anyone have any questions? Any comments? Thank you, sir. Mr. Fearborn, back to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Grass. I would ask Ms. Hill to make a report for the city clerk's office.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The general municipal election for the City of Raymore for the offices of City Council will be held April 2nd, 2024. Filing for this election opens at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, December 19th, and continues through January 16, 2024. A $20 filing fee is required at the time the candidate declares candidacy. All 4 wards will elect 1 candidate to serve a 2-year term. The Ward 1 seat up for re-election this year is currently held by Reginald Townsend. Ward 2 is currently held by Tabitha Forster. Ward 3 is currently held by Jay Holman, and the Ward 4 seat is currently held by Sonia Abdelgawad. City Council is open for filing 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, with the exception of December 25th and 26th, January 1st, 2024, and January 15th, 2024. If you have any questions or if anybody needs an additional information, please contact my office, or you can visit www.raymore.com/municipal election. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Finally, for the council, next week, December 4th, we will be having a work session. 2 items currently on the agenda. I will be asking the council of their desire and getting feedback from you all on a potential use tax campaign and putting a use tax on the ballot for this coming April. And we will be talking with, Mr. Crass will be visiting with you all concerning the need to change out the Owen Good pumps. That concludes staff reports this evening, sir.
All right. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Fearborn? All right. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. We have 2 items for consideration this evening. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of those items.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, including item A, City Council meeting minutes for November 13th, 2023, and item B, the 2023 curb replacement project acceptance and final payment.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, excuse me, I have to do the roll call this evening. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Abstain.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries with 7 yes and 1 abstention. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3857 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3857 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating a portion of Dean Avenue on the west side of Dean Avenue between Hickory Leaf Lane and Johnston Drive, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3857, the vacation of Dean Avenue right-of-way.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3857. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Oh, got to do the roll call again. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
I'll get it right.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3858 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3858 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, declaring the Raymore Gateway Study Area as a blighted area.
If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3858, acceptance of the Raymore Gateway Blight Study.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3858. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3856 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3856 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Raymore Galleria Third Final Plat, a subdivision of land located partly in Section 17 and Section 18, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, all in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3856, the Raymore Galleria Third Final Plat.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3856. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3838 by title only? Am I on the right one?
338.
The second reading of Bill 3838 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of Raymore, Missouri to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Peculiar for animal control facility services.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3838, the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Peculiar for animal control services.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3838. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3861 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3861 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the City of Raymore, Missouri to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Cass County Sheriff's Office regarding jail services.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3861, an intergovernmental agreement with the Cass County Sheriff for jail services.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3861. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3854 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3854 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving an agreement with the Mid-America Regional Council Solid Waste Management District relating to the Regional Household Hazardous Waste Program.
Thank you, ma'am. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3854, the Mark Household Hazardous Waste Agreement.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3854. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3863 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3863 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Piper Sandler and Company to serve as the independent financial advisor to the city for a 3-year period.
Thank you. And with us this evening, we do have Mr. Goffey, who was not able to be with us in the first reading. If anyone has any questions, he's here to try to answer those questions for you. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3863, award of contract for financial advisor.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3863. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
yes,
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. We'll now move on to new business. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3865 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3865 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, granting a conditional use permit pursuant to City Code Section 435.100 for a pole sign to be maintained in its current location at 108 North Madison Street, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you, ma'am. This motion requires a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and the council, I'll start by letting you all know the applicant is here this evening in the audience if there are any questions about the request this evening, but I did want to give a little bit of back history and the staff report with regards to the request. The property at 108 North Madison, the property owner is requesting a conditional use permit to maintain the existing pole sign that exists on that property in accordance with Section 435.100. Which in essence states that requests to install or maintain signs within the city that do not meet the regulations of the Unified Development Code should be submitted as a conditional use permit to the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. In essence, that would be a variance to the City Development Code with respect to signs. And so that is the avenue that we're discussing this evening. I did want to give a little bit of history on the property with respect to the history. The property, again, is located at 108 North Madison, right there on the curve of 58 Highway. Within your packet this evening are a couple of photographs of the property itself, as well as the sign in question. The property is zoned C2 General Commercial District, and the growth management plan does identify the property as appropriate for commercial development. Because tonight did require a public hearing, tonight's meeting was advertised in the November 8th edition of the North Cass Herald. And the items of record for this evening include the mailed notices to adjoining property owners, the notice of publication in the North Cass Herald, the Unified Development Code, the application, the growth management plan, and tonight's staff report. As I mentioned, there is a lot of history on this property with respect to its location in the city. It's in one of the older parts of the city. The property was built in 1971, according to Cass County's tax records. The last business to occupy this building was the Raymore Journal. They did not renew their business license for the 2023 calendar year, which is what started the discussions on this property in general. Within the code, is a section that deals with the determination of a sign to be abandoned, and what constitutes that is that no activity or business which is advertised on the sign has taken place in that building within a period of 90 days. On April 20th of 2023, about 109 days after January 1st, our code officer did send a notice of violation to the property owner informing him of the status of the sign as a non-conforming sign, and outlined options, I believe, to bring that sign into compliance or remove the sign from the property in general. The application tonight, or the request there to maintain the sign has been through at least one hearing through our municipal court. And so tonight's request is a matter of requesting the council to allow that sign to remain in its current location. The public hearing notices were mailed to 9 adjoining property owners. Staff has not received any complaints other than somebody asking what the sign was in the front yard. So staff clarified that. Relative to the code, the Unified Development Code, I did want to point out there are 4 individual sections of that portion of the code that dictate which signs are prohibited and which signs are permitted. Those are all outlined in Chapter 435 of our Unified Development Code, and included within your packet is the use table, which outlines the signage regulations for the city. As I mentioned, the issue tonight is the non-conforming status of the sign, given that the period of 109 days did lapse, which exceeds the 90 days that are allowed by city code. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review this request on their last meeting and did recommend denial of the application. I did want to close out by providing a little more history within that specific stretch of 58 Highway, because there are a total of 9 pole signs that do currently exist in that area. Each one of those, with the exception of the one here this evening, all have businesses that have either replaced the sign face that exists on the pole sign, they have not expanded the area of the pole sign or the height or the dimensions of the sign. City Code does allow the faces of those signs to be replaced as long as that original sign remains intact. So in this case, there are 8 additional pole signs that have not been found to be abandoned and do have businesses occupying the buildings in which they are located. Within your packet on page 6, I have included a little bit of history with other pole signs in the city. There are at least 5 other pole signs where staff has followed this process to either have the sign removed or brought into compliance with the city standards. All of those have been either complied with voluntarily, or the sign has been brought into compliance through the process of bringing the sign down to its allowable height. As I mentioned, the applicant is here this evening for any questions and a brief presentation to the City Council. One thing I wanted to point out with respect to the bill this evening, it is written in the affirmative this evening, the request to grant the conditional use permit. As I mentioned, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the November 21st meeting, did vote 6-1 to accept that recommendation and recommend denial of the application. So before we move into any discussion, I just wanted to point out the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation was for denial. The bill this evening is written in the affirmative for approval. So if there are any questions on the motion as it relates to the discussion, I know I or Mr. Zur would be happy to answer those questions. That would conclude my staff report, and I would let the applicant make any comments or presentation that they wish.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gress. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Gress at this time? If not, Mr. Joy, would you care to address the? Yeah, you gotta get quicker on me here. All right.
Sorry, real quick, I have a question, I'm sorry. If we change this to a monument sign, the sight line there, I mean, it's already a little, does it have to be so far back so that way we can't see, or?
That's a good question. That was a similar question to what was raised at the Planning and Zoning Commission. Essentially, turning it into a monument sign is the easiest way that these signs are brought into compliance. You cut the pole out and mount it to a pedestal in the ground. There are setback requirements that we would look at as part of that permit. Signs generally have to be at least 5 feet away from a property line. And so that would be taken into consideration with this property as well. I don't believe there to be any sight distance issues as you come around that curve, but we would obviously verify that as part of a permit if it were to be submitted to our department.
So to follow up that, if it was deemed that it wasn't safe, he wouldn't be able to have a sign at all? Or it would just be on the building, or what would be the? There
are other options within the code. Wall signs are permitted at this location. There are currently no wall signs on the building. I can't definitively say that a monument sign wouldn't be permitted without looking more specifically at the site. Staff hasn't really analyzed that since that wasn't the nature of the request. But there are within the code setback requirements and sight distance requirements for monument signs. Yes.
Mr. Zur.
Thank you. Just real quickly, wanted to jump in. The question isn't the signs that are allowed to go there at this particular point, it's whether or not that pole sign stays in that location. So signage would be allowed on the property, would not necessarily be under the pole sign designation, but there are options available. Those options aren't really for your consideration this evening.
Okay. If there's no one else, Mr. Joy.
Yes. My name's Mike Joy. I own the property down at 108 North Madison. I purchased the property in 1976 from Dell Edwards, and his son, who ran a real estate office out of there, and moved in at that time. I was previously with them, and then they got mad at me because I was representing the city, and they built a house with aluminum wiring, and the city made them change it. So they said, okay, you backed up the city on this, so you need to move. So I moved up the street to a title company on Pine, and then thereafter purchased the building from them. The sign has been there. That sign or another sign has been there for the last 55 years. Raymore, with various tenants, including myself, And the Raymore Journal moved. And after that, my office closed in Lee Summit, and I started meeting people down here in Raymore and continued to meet them and have met them throughout this year. And as a result, I have, two arguments. First, the sign's been there in that area for 50 to 55 years. Second, I have been using the office myself, and as a result, I think that's an exemption. And based upon that, I'm asking you to continue the use permit, non-conforming use permit. It would still be a non-conforming use. It would still be subject to the various provisions we've talked about as a alternative fallback position. I'm in the process of listing the property for sale, and as a result would ask for a 6-month term to sell the property as such, and the sign could remain there during that 6 months.
Any questions of Mr. Joy? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. There is a public hearing open on this particular item. If anyone from the public would care to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one step forward, I'll close the public hearing at this time, and I'll entertain a motion to dispose of this item. I'll ask again. Is there a motion to dispose of this item? Hearing none, the item dies for lack of a motion. That means that it does fail, Mr. Joy, and so it will not progress. And hopefully you'll be able to work it out with court. All right, thank you, sir. We'll now move on to item B. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3866 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3866 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the legal description for the Raymore Commerce Center South Planned Unit Development application.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and Council, the item this evening in front of you is related to a zoning decision that the council made back on July 25th of 2022 for the Raymore Commerce South development. They're south of 195th Street leading into Dean Avenue. The developer over the last several months has been making progress on site surveying and some additional utility surveys for that property. Right now, we're in the middle of some negotiations with Evergy and the developer to program the relocation of the low utility poles that are along that stretch of roadway as Van Trust looks to improve Dean Avenue south to connect into 195th Street. So as they've gone through that and had some additional surveys on the property, it was discovered that the legal description that was initially used for that in the original bill that approved the zoning left out some references to book and page numbers within the county as it relates to the, I guess, historic nature of that property, being that it is quite old, as well as some other directional bearings that are important as we move forward for the further development of that property. And so before we get too much further with the applicant there with Van Trust and do any final plats or additional site work, staff wanted to go ahead and correct the legal description so that it matched moving forward with any final plat application. So the application this evening changes the the area within the legal description and the boundary that was originally proposed. It does not change the overall boundary. It simply makes the required references that are important for documents moving forward. So the boundaries of this property remain intact to what the council initially approved the zoning for. So no zoning changes this evening, simply just a correction to the original bill. I will say that the momentum is picking up for the development of that site. The signal work there at North Gas Parkway and Dean is progressing nicely. The next phase would be for Van Trust to continue with any land disturbance and grading, probably in early spring for the extension to Dean Avenue. So plenty of time to get this item corrected and cleaned up ahead of that. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the council.
Thank you, Mr. Gress. Any questions of Mr. Gress at this time on this issue?
Your Honor.
Mr.
As a
Fearborn.
follow-up to Mr. Gress's presentation, did want to alert the council, you may be aware this is the third time we have had a mistake on the developer's submitted legal description of a property that we've had to come to you and correct. I have directed Mr. Zur a couple of weeks ago when this came to light to construct a letter that will be going to all of our development community, imploring them to measure twice and cut once. It will be a little bit more stern than that particular term, but they need to be aware that this is an inconvenience for the council, and there'll probably be a little bit of a sting to the letter as far as if it happens again, because it's 3 different developers, all good developers, no aspersions on them, but this problem needs to be corrected.
Thank you, sir.
Staff report, sir.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Fearborn? If not, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Abdelgawad.
I move that we approve Bill 3866, correction to the legal description for Raymore Commerce Center South Planned Unit Development.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3866. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Holman.
I would concur with Mr. Fearborn's comments. I can understand once. That happens from time to time. People make mistakes. 3 times and you're out. I think that certainly, at a bare minimum, warrants notice to those individuals. If you're going to put something in front of us, do it right, because it's not just the council, and I don't feel imposed on by this, but the staff time and the repeated entries into appearances before this body, that eats up a lot of city resources. To me, if it occurs again, we need to look at something as in some type of monetary reimbursement for city resources spent on this.
Excellent. Anyone else? If not, could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. That concludes our new business this evening. We'll move now on to public comments. If anyone from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing no one come forward, I'll close the public comments, and I'll start with Mr. Baker this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I guess congratulations to you. It's quite an honor to be given an award for a distinguished citizen for the Daughters of the American Revolution. It seemed like
Thank
it was
you.
somewhat of a surprise, so
It was.
congratulations, and very well deserved with your history and experience
you.
in a lot of different things. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll also echo those comments as well, and luckily say you don't have to go out and do the uniform shop to try to figure out the
I know,
metal
right?
placement, the
Another
cost
that's
that comes
right.
with that. Those are the challenges that we that have served receiving medals, having to reposition the existing ribbon set.
Now, you might see it on a suit here
There you
in the
go.
near future, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Also wanted to add congratulations to Ms. Garcia. Welcome aboard. Good to have you, and good to see that the staff and family of Raymore has welcomed you with open arms, and you're looking to make a long-standing relationship with us. So again, welcome. And also want to give kudos to staff for tonight's agenda, as well as just a term that seems to be appropriate, the good order and discipline of Raymore. And I'll just use it in that context with respect to tonight's agenda item, while it didn't move through with respect to the signage. But just in general, as we drive around our communities and see those that don't do what we do and what signage that elapse and the imagery that it gives. So I appreciate staff and tonight's comments that Mr. Fearborn gave with respect to holding the developers to account with the documentation that comes to this body, to our planning and zoning committees and our other boards and commissions, those volunteers that serve to help us be the best community that we can be, to have the best resources, the best things here in Raymore. I appreciate staff and those efforts to do that. While it may not seem those who come before this body may not get the answer they want, but it's for the best interest of the community, and the products and the things that we produce is necessary. So I appreciate it, and I just want to give those accolades to staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Forster.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say I'm excited about the mayor's tree lighting. This will be my little one's first time.
That's
so
right.
We'll see how she likes the tree trail, and hopefully everybody will come out there. It's always a great time. The park does a great job of letting everybody walk through, and adding more festivities is going to be great. So I look forward to seeing everyone. Also, kudos for the award, the Daughters and Sons of the American Revolution. It's impressive. If you've ever, and if you haven't heard of it, you should look into what they do. It's a big deal. So
They are a great organization. Thank you. Yeah. Mr. Burke.
Thank you. Wanted to thank Public Works and also Constable Sanitation this weekend for sharing the streets to try to wrap up one situation and take care of another situation at the same time. But I'm sure those trucks having to maneuver around each other was not always the easiest thing. So appreciate that.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Holman.
I would concur with the comments of my colleagues, and I have nothing additional this evening, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barber.
I would concur with Councilman Holman, and I have nothing this evening.
All right. Thank you. And Ms. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, sir. I'll just add on to the congratulations on your award this evening. Looking forward also to the mayor's Christmas tree. Also looking forward to getting back our almost finished comprehensive plan. I know staff all across the board, volunteers have been working really hard on this. Can't wait to see where that's sitting right now, and then of course see the final project coming. And then I'll just wrap up with, from the director of a nonprofit, tomorrow's Giving Tuesday. So you've spent some money on Black Friday, spent some more money on Cyber Monday, but tomorrow's the day that really counts. Thinking about philanthropy in our community, we have some great opportunities with the Raymore Peculiar Public School Foundation, our Raymore Community Foundation that supports the city. We've got Shop with a Cop coming up. I mean, there are so many great opportunities for people in the community to give back in that way. So just think about who you might want to support for Giving Tuesday tomorrow and as you're wrapping up your year. Thank you.
Great comments. Thank you. And thanks to the Daughters of the American Revolution. That was a very nice presentation and an award, and I was totally surprised by it. I guess I missed the email on that one, but anyway, humbled by it. Thank you so much. And then this evening, our other presenter from the Raymore Behavioral Health Crisis Center kind of was a segue, really, to what I was going to talk about this evening. As I was going through the police blog earlier today, I noticed that there were several suicidal calls that the officers went on, and we see that in our blog more than we care to see. And it's nice that we have this facility here, but we need to use it. And I'm hoping that their information gets out to our community for folks to know that it's there. It's not always in the best interest of the police department for them to try to respond and resolve it, although our officers are quite well trained. Most of them are certified as crisis intervention officers, and they do a great job of that. We've not had any bad experiences, but we do have a great resource here now. And the other item that she mentioned that I saw several reports on was domestic violence. People's tempers and anger levels begin to soar through the holiday season, as do their emotions, which cause for threats of harm to themselves or others. And so we just really need to be aware that this Behavioral Health Crisis Center is here in our town, and we need to take advantage of that. And hopefully the word gets out on that. And I know our officers depend on them as well as a resource. And it's just good to know that that's there here in our community. So as folks go through the holiday season here, please be aware of that and be kind to one another. And that's all I have this evening. I do know that we have a reason to move into executive session, so I would entertain a motion for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Abdelgawad.
can I just add one little piece onto what you just shared about mental health?
Absolutely, yes.
So Compass Health also has been an important part of 988. So 988 is a new crisis number. It's been there for maybe a year-ish.
Good point.
And so if you can't get to the crisis center, that 988 is a number you can call to get help and can send emergency responders your way potentially, but then they're going to have a better idea of what they're walking into, and you're going to have the mental health professionals on the phone with you to help as well.
No, great follow-up. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move that we move into executive session to discuss litigation.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Townsend. Motion's been made and seconded to move into executive session. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Abdelgawad?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Barber?
Yes.
Councilmember Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Ingert?
Yes.
Councilmember Forster?
Yes.
Councilmember Holman?
Yes.
Councilmember Townsend?
Yes.
And while Mr. Ingert voted yes, I know you can't be with us this evening, sir. We'll brief you later, okay? And with that, we will now move into executive session. And when we're done with that, we'll come out to adjourn from regular session. Thank you.